What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture, and I got a spec video today. It's been a little while since I did my last one, so I'm very excited to talk about some Doctor Doom books, guys. For those that aren't subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Check out all the links below as well. Journals, comics, official merch, how to support the channel by becoming a Patreon for only $3.99 a month, and obviously other awesome channel affiliates and friends of the channel. But let's get into this video, guys. 6 Doctor Doom spec books to buy before we see him in the MCU. Well, Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four, owned by Marvel Studios now. I believe it's inevitable that we're going to see Doctor Doom in the MCU. For those that can't afford a Fantastic Four number 5, the first appearance of Doctor Doom, I got some books. I got 6 books here that are really, really decent and solid books to spec on. Now, they are books that range from extremely affordable to a little bit pricey, but none of them are at that Fantastic Four 5 level. You're paying 10 to $80,000 depending on the grade, for if there is a, I'm sure there might be a couple 9.8s out there of a Fantastic Four number 5, but we don't have thousands of dollars to put down, right? Most of us anyway. So let's talk about 6 books, guys. All right. Now, these are books that possibly will correlate in how we may see Doctor Doom show up in the MCU, but I'll explain those details as we go over each book. So let's start with number 6 on the list, guys. And that is Fantastic Four Annual number 2. This is the origin of Doctor Doom. So this is regardless of movie hype or regardless of what they do with Doctor Doom in the MCU, if and when he shows up. This is like the second best book right here, in my opinion, if you can't afford his first appearance. This book is still decently affordable because you're not looking at spending thousands of dollars on a decent grade still. Now, I don't have high grades listed here, but you can see here in a fair market value CGC of a 6.0, you can still roughly get this book for about $375. A high raw, the highest raw actually on the census is 525. So not the CGC census in terms of sales census, for those that may have been confused by my wording there. $525 raw. Now, obviously, we don't know what the grade of that book is. It's probably not, a near mint. But still, again, for us individuals that don't have thousands of dollars to spend, you could still get a decent grade of this book. Now, this is a good book as well. If we see him in the MCU, the origin of Doctor Doom, no matter what they do with Doom in the MCU, this is a good one that'll correlate regardless for the most part. And again, this is one of those books that as time goes on, as we get farther away from the Silver Age, this is a book that I feel long term, for your long term return on investment, is going to continue to increase over time, regardless of MCU or movie hype and movie speculation. All right, let's go on, guys. Book number 5. This one has been really getting hot lately, ever since the properties were bought by Fox. This is Marvel Superheroes number 20, Doctor Doom's first solo story. Yeah, guys, this one, I mean, 2 years ago, you could probably get this for a quarter of the price right now. You could probably find a decent, higher grade for $100. And I'm not saying like a 9.0 and up, but I mean, you look at a fair market value CGC of 8.0 at a 355 right now. I don't have the numbers on me, but I guarantee you, a couple years ago, you probably were looking at a book that was more around $100. So this one has really caught steam. High raw, $322. Again, regardless of what may happen with Doctor Doom, if he shows up in the MCU, I think this is a solid book to grab that has that long-term return on investment possibility. Now, this is a book that's hot right now to where I don't necessarily think this is one of those books where you need to buy it right now because it's just going to keep going up. I think this book has the ability to cool off, Not by much. It's never going to be where it was 2 years ago, I don't think. But I think it has the ability to cool off. It really, in my opinion, and again, this is all my opinion, guys. Take it with a grain of salt. Depending on what's going on with COVID, right, in the next year or so, depending on what's going on with theaters and how much MCU we get, right, and depending on if there's any more Fantastic Four announcements over the next year. I think if there's no further announcements for anything related to Fantastic Four within the MCU over the next year, I think this book is going to cool off. If there is any type of hint, this book is not going to cool off. All right. So this is one of those where, look, if you're willing to take a little bit of a risk and put the money out for it right now, hey, can't argue that. Again, long term though, even if you buy it at the fair market value right now, I think it's a solid investment. I don't think you can go wrong in terms of really losing a lot of money long term. So, with that being said, guys, let's move on to book number 4. And that is Fantastic Four number 57. And as you guys can probably see here, as we go along, these books are going to get a little more affordable, and that's kind of the order that I put them in. So, Fantastic Four number 57. This is a book that was kind of done in the Fox's uh, Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer film, where Doom steals Silver Surfer's powers. So we know in the Rise of Silver Surfer, Doom got the Silver Surfer's board, and so forth. So it was a little bit was done already. I don't think that is any type of negative for this book moving forward, because you know that those movies are kind of a wash, right? But this is a really awesome book for a couple reasons for me. For one, it's a very early appearance of Silver Surfer still, okay? But you have a situation in the story that I think can play well in the MCU if they do it right. Again, we're not talking about what happened with Fox in the past. I do feel that we can have Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom in an MCU film together, and I do feel that Doctor Doom can find a way to somehow take the powers of Silver Surfer or so forth, or maybe team up with Silver Surfer in some type of way, whatever the case may be. But regardless, this is a really solid book to own. Fair market value CGC at an 8.5 is around 170. A high raw, $75, guys. Not bad at all. And again, for an early Silver Surfer book, this is one of those Silver Age books that, even in a nice mid-grade, long-term investment, guys, no matter what happens with Doctor Doom in the MCU, this is just one of those books that I think right now is a very solid price. There's no real speculation around it. I just think it's one of those books that can definitely see an impact if we get announcements of Doctor Doom in the MCU and, of course, Silver Surfer. And then again, icing on the cake, seeing them together in an MCU film. So, moving on, guys. Book number 3, Astonishing Tales number 6. First Doctor Doom and Black Panther in a book together. This book, there's been a little bit of speculation around this book already, but boy, would this be something that can be really, really cool in the MCU. Unfortunately, it still pains me, guys. It still pains me months into this, but with Chadwick Boseman's passing, most likely we won't see T'Challa. Boy, would have that been amazing though. But still, we know that the mantle of Black Panther is going to continue in the MCU, whether it's Shuri or somebody else taking up the mantle. I highly doubt that T'Challa is going to be recast. So I'm going to put my opinion out there and say that Black Panther is going to be another individual. T'Challa will be gone in the MCU, but still, like I said, the Black Panther mantle, facing off with Doctor Doom, something that's very, very feasible, very feasible. I think for sure. So, this is a book, like I said, that's already got a little bit of spec heat, getting under it, over the last few months here, just because, we know that Doctor Doom, um, came over with the rights to Fantastic Four. And, I think I'm not the only one that shares the sentiments of a Doctor Doom, Black Panther showdown. I think that would be really fitting. So fair market value CGC 8.5, $120. High raw $50. Again, this is a book that I don't necessarily see gaining a lot of traction right now, to where you have to jump on something like this. And let me tell you guys, like I said, you don't have to jump on anything. I always encourage people to do your research, make sound decisions, especially if there's any type of investment purposes or speculation purposes behind your buying decision making, right? So, this is one that, for me, for example, I don't own this book, but it's one that I've been watching literally for months, and I just haven't felt comfortable making the decision to jump the gun on it. So if I miss out, though, I miss out. That's the responsibility I have to take. But this is one that, if there is any type of announcement of Doctor Doom and Black Panther showing up together, whew, I this book can, I don't want to say shoot through the roof, but I think this book can easily double, possibly even triple, especially in those higher grades, like with a snap of a finger. But ultimately, I don't see this book gaining a lot of traction anytime soon. But again, it's a decent book that once again is going to slowly gain value over time. I think a little slower than, say, your older Silver Age, Fantastic Four books and whatnot, but still a really solid book. And look, for a high raw for $50, it's not too bad. You're not going to lose money on it. That's for sure. All right, guys, coming down to the last two. Number two is Secret Wars. Number 10. This is a really cool one, guys. Doom takes the power of the Beyonder. Now, here's another one that I feel can be such a great situation to show up in an MCU film. Now, again, you got two things going on here. You got the speculation of the Secret Wars happening in the MCU. Now, whether that's a 2015 Secret Wars or a 1984 Secret Wars, it's or a bit of both. For me personally, I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think it's going to be more like a 2015 Battle World Secret Wars, which who does that involve heavily? Doom, right? With a little bit of the 1984 Secret Wars, because I think the Beyonder can still be a main antagonist. And what better than a situation where Doom goes face to face with Beyonder and takes the power of Beyonder? Who? Now, this book isn't really, this is an extremely affordable book, guys. Fair market value, CGC 9.6, $75. A high raw, $28, guys. You could still find a decent high grade of this book, probably for $20, maybe even under. Um, Guys, this is a fun one that you could speculate on without spending quite any money at all. It's a great book to have. And, if something of this nature happens, this book is jumping. This book is absolutely jumping. So, there's plenty out there, guys. This is one that, again, there's no reason to jump on this book, but these are ones that I'm looking like these are awesome storylines that can play out in the MCU for sure. So, with that being said, guys, we got one more book. You ready for it? I know I am. Here we go. Secret War. Not Secret Wars. Secret War. Number one. First appearance of Lucia von Bardas. Guys, this book is one that definitely has gotten hot lately. Now, we had a few months back, we had some sources, not the most credible sources, but enough to where for me, it makes me ponder to say that Marvel is having plans of introducing Lucia von Bardas in the MCU, right? So this character can do a few things being introduced in the MCU. She can introduce basically Latveria, for one. So, say, as a prime minister of Latveria, and maybe she's just kind of a figurehead that leads into maybe Doctor Doom later on or so forth. We know that one point in time she kind of picked up the Doctor Doom mantle and whatnot. I don't know if we would see her in that capacity in the MCU, but still, I think there is a very high chance of her showing up in the MCU, at least as this Prime Minister of Latveria, which can then introduce Doctor Doom later on. I definitely find it very, very feasible. This is a book that you could have probably found. Possibly in the dollar bins, but definitely for under $5, a couple years ago. Now, good luck, not going to happen, but still extremely affordable. Fair market value, and a 9.8, guys, is about $85. That may have gotten, it may be a little higher than that now, just with the little bit of speculation that's already been out there about Lucia. But high raw, about $25 or so. So, again, a book that you're not breaking your bank on. It's something that you can have fun with if you find one out there in the wild. And hey, guys, this is one of those that you may go to your LCSs and start bin diving, right? And look for it in the back issue bins and see if some stores have it for 3, 4, 5, 6, $7 in score, because I don't think it's really on a lot of people's radar just yet. But there it is, guys. That is 6 books that I thought were really cool books to look at that, feature Doctor Doom or relevance of Doctor Doom showing up in the MCU. Again, I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen. I think Doctor Doom is finally going to get some justice done for him because the 2 other iterations that we saw were just garbage, right? Man. So, yeah, guys, I really enjoyed picking these books. Again, don't take my word. I always say this: invest with your head on your shoulders, invest, making smart decisions, and collect what you love. If you don't love any of these books, if there's no love in any of these books, don't buy them. You know, if you're willing to take risk and you want to speculate on them because you're willing to take the risk, then go ahead. But everything that I express here is my opinion. And whatever decisions you guys decide to make, just make sure that you can live with them after after the fact, right? No buyer's remorse, no speculation remorse, right? So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you guys have any other Doctor Doom relevant books that you thought should have been on this list or are really cool to talk about that you want to speculate on, drop those below as well, guys. And again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please take some time to do so. Hit the notification bell. Thank you all for watching. Be well, and until next time.